Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video in which we will go through finding a percentage of a quantity. So you just have to follow these two steps. Firstly, you write the percent as a fraction or decimal that we did in a previous lesson. And secondly, you multiply because of means multiply. So let's look at an example. Let's say 32 students, 87.5% of them play soccer. Of those, 75% of them play cricket. How many students play both soccer and cricket? So let's start by calculating the number of students that play soccer. So the number of students who play soccer is 87.5% of 32. We're finding a percent of a quantity. So what we're going to do is convert this to a fraction. So 87.5% is 87.5 over 100, and of means times. So when we're doing this without a calculator, we really want a simpler fraction than that. So hopefully you know by now that 87.5% is 7 over 8. So this is 7 over 8 times 32. So rather than doing 7 times 32, let's cancel. If you're timesing by 32, write it as 32 over 1, 8 goes into itself once, and 8 goes into 32 4 times. So it turns out 87.5% of 32 is 28. This is how many students play soccer. So then we're told of these 28 who play soccer, 75% of them play cricket. So now we want to calculate 75% of 28. So hopefully you know by now 75% is 3/4. We're calculating 3/4 of 28. Of means multiply. So writing as 28 over 1, 4 goes into itself once, goes into 28 7 times. We're just left with 3 times 7, which equals 21. So there were 28 people who played soccer, and of the 28 who played soccer, 21 also played cricket. So 21 people play both. That was a really simple percentage of a quantity question. We just changed the percent to a fraction and then multiplied. So it turns out we can use this process to perform percentages and increases. Let's look at that now. So when you increase by R%, that's the same as calculating 100 plus R% of the amount. Probably makes no sense to you. So I'm saying, for example, if you increase a number by 30%, that's the same as finding 130% of that amount. Similarly, if you decrease something by 30%, that's the same as calculating 100 minus 30, which is 70% of the amount. So if you have a video game that normally costs $120 and is discounted by 30%, you're only paying 70% of the price, because 100% take away 30% is 70%. So 70% of 120, well, we're just going to write the percent as a fraction of means times. So rather than do 7 times 120, let's cancel. 10 goes into itself once, goes into 120 12 times. So I'm left with 7 times 12, which is 84. It will be in dollars. So the video game will now cost $84. So let's say population of a school is 1,200, increases by 5%. What will be the new population? So think of 100% of something is a whole. You know, if you got 100% in your maths test, you got every question right. So if you take a whole, 100%, and add 5% to it, you are finding 105% of that number. So to increase an amount by 5%, you're finding 105% of it. So how would we do 105% of 1,200? Well, no differently than the way we've done all the others. We are going to write this as a fraction of means times. Okay, so this one can be simplified to 21 over 20, but I can cross out here 100 goes into itself once, goes into 1,200 12 times. So this will be the same as 105 times 12. 100 times 12 is 1,200, 5 times 12 is 60. It's going to be 1,260. That will be the new population. All right, let's now look at using this to find the original amount. So when you're finding the original amount, you divide instead of multiplying. So let's look at this question. In class, 25% have brown eyes, 6 students have brown eyes. How many students are in the class? So why is this question different? It's not saying find 25% of 6. What it's saying is if you take 25% of the students in the class, some unknown number, that gives us 6. We want to find this number, the number you start with. What number when you start with and take 25% of it gives 6. So this is saying 25%, which is 1/4 of means times. 1/4 of some number gives you 6. So of course, the way we undo timesing by 1/4 is dividing by 1/4. So what goes on here will be 6 divided by 25%, or 6 divided by 1/4. You know that that's 6 times 4 over 1. 6 over 1 times 4 over 1 is just 24. There are 24 students in the class, because if you take 25% or 1/4 of 24, you're left with 6. So see how we divided here. We divided the amount by the percentage in order to find the original amount. So let's look at this question. Cost of a painting discounted by 28%, now costs $90. What was the original cost? So remember, when you discount something by 28%, you're only paying 72% of the original price. So 72% of the original number, we don't know what it is yet, gives us 90. So we're finding the original amount because we're saying what number when I start with and take 72% of it gives me 90. So I don't expect you to know the answer straight away, but we should know the answer has to be more than 90. So what we're going to do exactly the same as we did in the previous. We're going to take 90 and we're going to divide it by 72%. So we multiplied when finding a percent of a quantity. So if it was 72% of 90, we would multiply. But this one is saying 72% of what original number gives 90. Because we're finding the original amount, instead of timesing, we divide. So 72% is the same as 72 over 100, or 18 over 25. 18 over 25 is 72%. So of course, when you're dividing, we're going to flip the second fraction and make it a times. And we're going to write 90 as 90 over 1. Okay, so 90 times 25 and then divided 18, that would take quite a while. So let's see if we can cancel, if there's anything on the top and anything on the bottom that has a common factor. So luckily there is. 18 goes into itself once and goes into 90 5 times. So this is actually just 5 times 25. You can keep adding up 25 5 times if you want. The answer you get is 125. So when you take 125 and you find 72% of it, you end up with 90. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.